Hello, this is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1983's seemingly, believably shot on video film, The Babysitter. And this is distributed, I believe, solely by Gourmet Video, who is a distribution company that distributes adult cinema, a lot of golden age, 70s, 80s type stuff. And this is pretty hard to come by. And a lot of times Gourmet Video will have their titles kind of just all of a sudden go out of print. Some of these can sometimes be DVD-Rs. And this is The Babysitter right here, folks. This is the front of it, otherwise known as GVC, video. Here's the front of The Babysitter, and here is the back. The front has the infamous one-named actress Danielle, and the back has the actress Tara Airy right there. So let's get into this film from 1983, The Babysitter. Now, I do have some notes here, so you might see my eyes divert, but The Babysitter is essentially a film that moves along the course of one day and really into the evening. And it is a snapshot of a married couple needing a babysitter for their child, and also simultaneously getting to spend some time with the babysitter and her friend as they're kind of hanging out before embarking on the evening. There are some other friends from the neighborhood that also get involved in this evening, as well as some friends of the babysitter, some friends of the parents, and let the sexual hijinks ensue. This is an X-rated film. This is from 1983, shot on video. Let's get into it, folks. This is really the sexual story of a family and a babysitter, friends in a neighborhood. Really shot on video vibes with tons of style and great sex scenes. I always have these recollections of kind of the night that, my parents go out and the night that the babysitter is going to be coming over. There was a sense of excitement about it. There was a sense of you could get away with a little bit more. The night was alive with energy. You might have had a TV dinner ready, or maybe, your mom had some leftovers ready, or she cooked ahead of time. Everything just seemed more satisfying. You were going to be watching maybe some MTV or some movies that you wouldn't typically be, allowed to watch. You were going to stay up later. It was just a really, really fun, exciting kind of moment. And this film really has that 80s suburbia neighborhood. It's time for the babysitter vibe and the energy in the house. Now, in this particular case, the child that's being babysitted you never see, and it's an infant. You're hearing crying or such, but that's it. So it's not, in the aspect of, kind of having a 10-year-old who, having the magical night of having his babysitter come over and eating popcorn and watching movies. In this particular case, it's really the magical sexual evening of the babysitter, her friends, and the parents and their friends. So let's get into this film from 1983, of an X-rated shot-on-video film. Here it is, folks. And this is a rare, unknown one right here, The Babysitter. Well, when we look at the music for this film, the music is electronic, almost disco at times, but only for moments at a time. It's like the music sometimes will be in these snapshots, and we have silence and we have space to allow the sexual dialogue to take center stage. And so with the great electronic music in here, I mean, we're really talking 80s synth music here, that has a real great low budget shot on video vibe. A lot of the times you think of the shot on video genres, right? You think of horror and you think of adult cinema, X-rated films. And the music can be rather similar, if it's a horror film or if it's not. Of course, it's obviously darker in a horror shot on video film, but there could be elements of friends hanging out in a horror shot on video film that would have very similar elements to the electronic music in The Babysitter. And sex dialogue really does take center stage in this particular film. Um, and the music will kind of ebb and flow, stop and start. Now, a couple things here that I had. We have some really interesting things that, the beautiful realism of shot on video films. I mean, you just cannot beat it. In particular, you can hear dogs barking, as I hear a dog barking actually outside right now. But you can hear dogs barking in the distance in this film while actresses are saying their lines. You can hear the wind outside over the camera, built-in microphone. Um, there's actually a dog barking outside. This is crazy. There's this really wild introduction section to this film where the actors are actually introducing themselves to the camera. With their acting names, Tara Airy, Danielle, RHONDA JOE BETTY is in here as well, and we also have Kevin James, and it's really an all-star cast of some of the greats from the golden age of adult cinema here. But the actors introduce themselves at the beginning of the film. I've never quite seen anything like it before, and you will get a lot of unique elements like this in adult cinema from the 70s and 80s. We really have some breaking of the fourth wall in this movie as well, but the other person in the room is not seemingly doing that. So there's some interesting mixing going on here, but there is definitely a breaking of the fourth wall in this movie. If there's two people in a room, maybe it's just one person who's doing that. We have fades with the editing in here and different angles. The sexual angles are not too close. Okay, we're not talking like really, really close like some X-rated cinema can be. I'm thinking of a few films like Red Heat and Oriental Babysitter, which I'll be looking at in the future on this YouTube page. So it's not that close, but we do have some great editing, or some unique shot on video editing. Actors are talking throughout the sex scenes in funny and very sexual ways, enhancing the realism and also the eroticism. There's an element to the sexual dialogue in this film where I'm thinking to myself, is it ad lib? What did the script look like for this film? And was it ad lib? I always wonder those types of things, especially in films like this. And we also have some very interesting dialogue in this film involving relationships. Now, we have some, just some really, really, hot and sexy scenes in here involving the babysitter and her girlfriend, and then the two of them and the girlfriend's boyfriend, and then we have obviously the wildness of the married couple who needs a babysitter and their sexual interactions with the babysitter and her friend, and just things are just wild. Even the sexual relationship between the two parents, so there's definitely this element of that free love and just that wild sexual fantasies of babysitters and all that, definitely in here. And the fetish of schoolgirls and stuff like that, and it's really, really great, really well done. The movie's only an hour long, which is pretty crazy, and there are some authentically funny movements and dialogue in here, as I said before, which is just how much of it was ad lib. Now there's this unbelievable section in the film that it's like my favorite section, where the wife is just constantly tending to their baby upstairs while the husband is downstairs trying his best to have some sexual fun with the babysitter before they leave, to go out to dinner. And his wife is just upstairs, and there's just kind of like this comedic ebb and flow, which is also sexy at the same time. Like how many clothes should they take off? When the wife could come down at any time, they got to be able to make sure they can put them on quick enough, because she just went up the steps, so she's going to be coming down the steps again as well. So there's this, it encompasses a section of the film, and I know it sounds crazy, but I had like some tension. It was also fun and wild. And you're having it's just, you're only going to see that kind of stuff in sexploitation cinema, adult cinema, erotic cinema, and there's kind of a kind of a free for all party sex scene in the living room at the end of the film, and being 60 minutes long, it really kind of is a snapshot of the day, of the night. That's it, and it's great. It's very sexy, and if you're into that sort of thing with the babysitter, I mean, this film is called The Babysitter. I mean, really, this is like the penultimate. Okay, so here it is, folks, from 1983, shot on video. This girl right here, Danielle, is always, her faces, her moans, they're outrageously weird sometimes and just really interesting. And then Tara Airy, she always has like some of the sexiest dialogue. There's also some really, as Danielle plays the babysitter, some really kind of funny, just totally politically incorrect dialogue between the babysitter and the husband also. Don't forget, RHONDA JOE BETTY is in here as well as Kevin James, not the guy from the TV show King of Queens, but from 70s adult cinema. He was also in Cafe Flesh, which I've reviewed on this YouTube page as well. The Babysitter, 1983. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 1983's The Babysitter. Thank you, and good night.